In a distant corner of the galaxy, something extraordinary was happening. News had spread like wildfire among the stars about an ancient event known as the Death Track Race. It wasn't just any competition. It was a deadly test that no species had ever survived. For thousands of years, civilizations across the cosmos had tried and failed to conquer the track. Some called it a rite of passage. Others saw it as a cruel game designed by its creators, the mysterious Cytherians. No one knew exactly why the race existed or what secrets lay hidden within its treacherous course. All anyone knew was that failure meant death, and success? Well, no one had lived long enough to find out. On Earth, however, life went on as usual. The planet's inhabitants were largely unaware of the interstellar drama unfolding light years away. Most people were too busy dealing with their own problems to care about alien races or cosmic challenges. In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and vast fields, Alex Carter spent his days fixing broken hovercrafts and dreaming of something more. He wasn't rich or famous, but he had two things going for him: a knack for flying machines and a stubborn streak that refused to let him give up. Even when things seemed hopeless, Alex shared his small workshop with Mia Lopez, a sharp-witted engineer who could take apart almost anything and put it back together better than before. She had grown up tinkering with gadgets alongside her father, and now she poured all her energy into helping Alex keep their little business afloat. While Alex handled the mechanical side of things, Mia focused on upgrades and customizations. Together, they made a good team, though neither of them imagined their skills would one day be tested on a galactic scale. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, a strange package arrived at their doorstep. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen, a sleek black box etched with glowing symbols that pulsed faintly, as if alive. Curiosity got the better of them, and they opened it carefully. Inside was a single sheet of material that shimmered like liquid metal. Words appeared on its surface, written in perfect English. "You are invited to compete in the Death Track. Race, represent your species. Prove your worth." Mia stared at the message, her brow furrowed. "What is this? Some kind of prank?" she asked, glancing at Alex. He shrugged, scratching the back of his head. "I don't know, but it looks legit. Look at this tech, it's way beyond anything we've got here." The invitation didn't offer many details, just coordinates and a time. If they wanted answers, they'd have to go. After some debate, and a lot of convincing from Mia, they decided to take the risk. Neither of them had much to lose, and the idea of venturing into space excited them more than they cared to admit. They packed their tools, loaded up the Windrunner, a patched-up old spaceship they'd salvaged from a scrapyard, and set off toward the unknown. The journey took several days, during which Alex and Mia marveled at the wonders of deep space. They passed through shimmering nebulae, dodged asteroid fields, and gazed at distant planets that glowed like jewels against the velvet expanse. Despite the beauty around them, there was an undercurrent of tension. Neither of them knew what awaited them at the destination, and the thought weighed heavily on their minds. When they finally arrived, they found themselves in a massive arena suspended in the void of space. Dozens of ships, each representing a different species, floated nearby. Alien pilots disembarked, their forms ranging from humanoid to bizarrely alien. Some walked on four legs, while others hovered without touching the ground. Every creature radiated confidence, or at least the appearance of it. Many carried weapons or wore armor adorned with symbols of their homeworlds. Alex felt a pang of doubt as he stepped out of the Windrunner. Compared to the other competitors, he looked painfully ordinary. His worn flight suit and scuffed boots didn't scream intergalactic champion. Beside him, Mia clutched a tablet filled with schematics and calculations, her expression determined. Despite the intimidating crowd, a group of towering insectoid beings approached, their bodies gleaming like polished obsidian. These were the Cytherians, the enigmatic hosts of the race. Their leader, Zik-7, addressed the gathered competitors in a voice that resonated like a low hum. "Welcome," it began, its multifaceted eyes scanning the crowd. "You stand here today because your species seeks greatness. The death track race is not merely a test of speed, it is a trial of survival. Only those who adapt, endure, and overcome will prevail." The announcement sent a ripple of unease through the assembly. Several pilots exchanged nervous glances, while others straightened their posture, trying to project confidence. Alex listened intently, absorbing every word. He noticed how the Zetherians emphasized traits like adaptability and resilience, qualities he recognized in himself. Growing up on Earth, where resources were limited and challenges were constant, had taught him to think quickly and improvise when necessary. Maybe, just maybe, that gave him an edge. After the briefing, the competitors were led to a hangar where rows of identical pods awaited them. These vehicles, sleek and aerodynamic, would serve as their chariots for the race. Each pod came equipped with advanced technology far beyond anything Alex had ever encountered. As he examined his assigned vehicle, he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. How could he possibly compete against seasoned pilots who likely trained for this their entire lives? Mia, ever resourceful, immediately went to work. She climbed under the pod, inspecting every inch of its design. Her fingers danced over wires and circuits, making adjustments as she muttered to herself. "We can't match their experience," she said, her voice tinged with determination, "but we can make this thing faster and smarter." By the time she finished, the pod bore subtle modifications that reflected Mia's ingenuity. Extra stabilizers ensured smoother handling, while recalibrated thrusters promised bursts of speed when needed most. Satisfied with her handiwork, she turned to Alex and gave him a reassuring smile. "You've got this," she said firmly. "Just remember what I always tell you, fly like nobody's watching." As the countdown to the race began, Alex felt a mix of excitement and dread. The other pilots exuded arrogance, boasting about their abilities and sneering at the human representatives. One reptilian competitor, its scales glinting menacingly, leaned close and hissed, "Why are you even here? Your kind doesn't stand a chance." Instead of responding with anger, Alex grinned. "Guess we'll see, won't we?" The starting horn blared, and the pods shot forward like streaks of lightning. The death track stretched ahead, a twisting maze of danger and mystery. For Alex, the real challenge was only beginning, but he faced it with a courage born of desperation and hope. The moment the pods launched, the arena erupted into chaos. The death track was a labyrinth of hazards, designed not just to test speed, but also intelligence, reflexes, and sheer willpower. Razor-sharp asteroids spun unpredictably through the void, forcing pilots to weave and dodge with split-second precision. Energy fields crackled in random bursts, disrupting navigation systems and sending ships spiraling out of control. The competitors barely had time to react as they hurtled deeper into the course. Alex gripped the controls of his pod tightly, his knuckles white. The roar of engines echoed around him, blending with the hum of energy surges and the occasional explosion as another pilot met their end. He could feel the weight of the challenge pressing down on him, but there was no room for fear-only focus. Beside him, Mia's voice came through the comm system, steady and calm despite the madness unfolding. "Stay sharp, Alex," she said. "Watch your angles and trust the mods I made." Her words grounded him. Alex took a deep breath and forced himself to concentrate. The first section of the track was a gauntlet of spinning debris, each piece large enough to tear a pod apart. Pilots who relied solely on speed were already falling victim, their vessels colliding with the jagged rocks. Alex, however, approached it differently. Instead of charging ahead blindly, he studied the movement patterns of the asteroids, finding gaps where others saw only danger. With quick, calculated maneuvers, he slipped through the chaos unscathed. Behind him, a Krillian pilot, a hulking creature with 6 arms and glowing eyes, growled in frustration. Its pod was heavily armored, built for brute force rather than agility. It tried to plow through the obstacles, only to be struck by a massive asteroid. The impact sent its ship careening off course, leaving behind a trail of sparks before it disappeared entirely. Alex spared a glance at the wreckage but didn't slow down. There was no time to mourn fallen competitors. Survival depended on staying focused. Further along the track, the challenges became even more sinister. Gravitational anomalies warped the fabric of space, creating pockets where time seemed to stretch or compress unpredictably. One moment, Alex felt as though he were moving in slow motion. The next, his pod surged forward at breakneck speed. The disorienting effects caused several pilots to lose control, crashing into walls of shimmering energy or veering dangerously close to black holes that dotted the course. Mia's modifications proved invaluable during these moments. The stabilizers she'd added kept Alex's pod steady even as gravity tugged at it from all directions. "You're doing great," she said over the comms, her tone encouraging. "Just keep trusting your instincts." Instincts were something Alex had plenty of. Growing up on Earth, where resources were scarce and opportunities limited, he'd learned to rely on gut feelings and quick thinking. Flying hovercrafts through narrow alleyways and dodging traffic in crowded skies had honed his reflexes to a razor's edge. Now those same skills were keeping him alive in the deadliest race the galaxy had ever known. As the initial frenzy began to settle, Alex noticed that fewer competitors remained. The field had thinned significantly, with many pods destroyed or abandoned. Among those still racing was a Varnock warrior named Kale. Towering and muscular, Kale exuded an aura of raw power. His pod bristled with weapons and reinforced shields, clearly designed for combat as much as speed. Another survivor was Silra, a reptilian trader whose sleek vessel gleamed with advanced technology. Both competitors radiated confidence, seemingly unfazed by the perils they'd faced so far. Despite their imposing presence, Alex refused to let intimidation take hold. He reminded himself why he was here, not to prove anything to them, but to show what humanity was capable of. "We're not supposed to win," he muttered under his breath, recalling the doubters back home. "But that doesn't mean we can't try." Ahead, the track twisted into a series of narrow tunnels lined with pulsating energy barriers. These barriers shifted unpredictably, opening and closing like the jaws of some cosmic predator. Timing was everything. Misjudging the openings meant instant destruction. Several pilots hesitated too long, their pods caught in the snapping traps. Others charged recklessly, only to meet the same fate. Alex slowed his approach, studying the rhythm of the barriers. He tapped a sequence of commands into the pod's console, activating one of Mia's custom programs. The screen lit up with a predictive algorithm, highlighting safe paths through the chaos. "Gotcha," he whispered as he guided the pod through the first tunnel. The ship hummed as it accelerated, darting between closing barriers with millimeters to spare. Kale and Silra followed closely behind, their larger vessels struggling to match Alex's agility. The Varnock warrior growled in frustration, slamming his fists against the controls as his pod clipped the edge of a barrier. Sparks flew, and his shields flickered, but he managed to regain control. Silra, meanwhile, relied on her ship's advanced sensors to navigate the tunnels. Her movements were precise but cautious, lacking the boldness Alex displayed. By the time they emerged from the tunnels, the remaining competitors were spread thin. Alex found himself neck and neck with Kale and Silra, the trio forming an uneasy alliance of proximity. None of them spoke, their attention fully consumed by the race. Yet Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, not just by the other pilots, but by something greater. High above the track, the Zetherians observed silently. Their insectoid forms blended seamlessly with the shadows, their multifaceted eyes tracking every move. Zik-7 leaned forward slightly, its mandibles clicking softly. "This human Intriguing, it murmured to a nearby subordinate. Their methods are unconventional, yet effective. The comment went unnoticed by Alex, who was too focused on the task at hand. The next section of the track loomed ahead, a vast expanse filled with swirling clouds of plasma. The glowing mist obscured visibility, making it nearly impossible to see more than a few meters in any direction. Worse still, the plasma emitted bursts of electromagnetic interference, threatening to disable critical systems. Alex gritted his teeth as static crackled across his dashboard. The pod's sensors flickered, rendering them useless. For a brief moment, panic threatened to creep in. Then he remembered something Mia had once told him. When tech fails, rely on yourself. Drawing on years of experience flying without fancy gadgets, Alex switched to manual controls and trusted his senses. Guided the pod cautiously through the plasma clouds, using subtle changes in light and sound to gauge his surroundings. It was slow going, but it worked. Behind him, Kale and Silra struggled to adapt. The Varnuk warrior's reliance on brute force left him vulnerable in such unpredictable conditions, while Silra's sophisticated systems faltered under the strain of constant interference. "You're pulling away," Mia's voice came through the comms, tinged with pride. "Keep pushing." Encouraged by her words, Alex pushed the pod to its limits, emerging from the plasma field just as the final stretch of the race came into view. A massive archway glowed in the distance, marking the finish line. Beyond it lay safety and victory. But between Alex and the goal lay one last challenge. A swarm of drone-like creatures programmed to attack anything that moved too quickly. Kale and Silra closed the gap as they exited the plasma clouds, their determination evident. The three competitors exchanged wary glances, each knowing that the endgame was near. Tension hung thick in the air as they prepared for the final push. Alex tightened his grip on the controls, his mind racing with strategies. This wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about proving that humanity belonged among the stars. With renewed resolve, Alex plunged into the swarm, ready to face whatever came next. The swarm of drones loomed ahead, a writhing mass of metallic bodies that glinted menacingly in the dim light. Their design was simple but effective: sharp edges, glowing red eyes, and relentless programming to attack anything moving too fast. For Alex, this final challenge felt like staring into the jaws of death itself. The finish line was tantalizingly close, but getting there would require more than just speed or strength. It would demand cleverness, timing, and nerves of steel. Kale and Silra were right behind him, their pods trailing dangerously close as they entered the swarm. Kale's brute force approach was evident. His pod barreled forward, shields flaring as he smashed through the first wave of drones. Metal fragments scattered in all directions, and for a moment, it seemed like his sheer power might carry him through. But the swarm adapted quickly, closing ranks and swarming around his vessel. His shields flickered under the relentless assault, and his progress slowed. Silra, on the other hand, relied on her ship's advanced technology. Her pod emitted bursts of electromagnetic pulses, temporarily disabling groups of drones as she darted through gaps. Her movements were precise and calculated, but the swarm's numbers were overwhelming. Every time she cleared a path, more drones filled the void, forcing her to expend precious energy reserves. She glanced at Alex's pod, her reptilian eyes narrowing with suspicion. How was he managing to stay ahead? Alex wasn't thinking about them. He was focused entirely on survival. As the drones closed in, he remembered Mia's advice from earlier. When tech fails, rely on yourself. Instead of charging straight through the swarm like Kale or using high-tech tricks like Silra, Alex relied on something far simpler: his instincts. He studied the movements of the drones, noting how they reacted to sudden changes in speed and direction. Then, with a deep breath, he began to weave. His pod zigzagged unpredictably, accelerating and decelerating in short bursts. The drones, programmed to target fast-moving objects, struggled to keep up. They swarmed toward where Alex had been moments before, only to find empty space. This erratic pattern allowed him to slip through the chaos, avoiding collisions while conserving his pod's limited resources. It was risky, but it worked. Slowly but surely, he pulled ahead of Kale and Silra, who were bogged down by their own strategies. Behind him, Kale roared in frustration. His pod's shields were failing, and the drones were closing in. With a primal snarl, he activated Emergency Weapon System, a pulse cannon that unleashed a devastating blast of energy. The explosion tore through the swarm, clearing a wide path ahead. For a brief moment, Kale surged forward, closing the gap between himself and Alex, but the Varnuk warrior's triumph was short-lived. The swarm regrouped almost instantly, surrounding his pod once again. His shields collapsed under the renewed assault, and his pod spiraled out of control, disappearing into the chaos. Silra watched Kale's demise with cold calculation. She adjusted her tactics, switching to a more defensive posture. Her pod released decoy drones designed to mimic her movements, drawing some of the attackers away. It bought her valuable time, allowing her to inch closer to Alex. Yet even with her superior technology, she couldn't match his agility. Alex's unpredictable maneuvers kept him one step ahead, leaving her trailing in his wake. As Alex approached the final stretch, the swarm thinned slightly, giving him a clearer view of the finish line. The massive archway glowed brighter now, its surface shimmering with energy. Beyond it lay safety and victory. But the race wasn't over yet. One wrong move could still cost him everything. Mia's voice crackled over the comms, tinged with urgency. "You're so close, Alex. Just a little farther." Her words spurred him on, reminding him of why he was here, not just for himself, but for everyone back home who doubted humanity's place among the stars. With renewed determination, Alex pushed his pod to its limits. The engines roared as he accelerated, weaving through the last remnants of the drone swarm. Behind him, Silra made one final desperate attempt to catch up. She activated a cloaking device, vanishing from sight for a few precious seconds. When she reappeared, she was dangerously close, her pod matching Alex's speed. For a tense moment, the two competitors raced side by side, neither willing to yield. Then, just as they reached the edge of the swarm, Silra made a fatal mistake. Greed got the better of her. Spotting what appeared to be a shortcut, a narrow tunnel bypassing the remaining drones, she veered off course, hoping to gain an advantage. But the shortcut turned out to be a trap. As soon as her pod entered the tunnel, the walls began to collapse inward, sealing her fate. A faint scream echoed over the comms before cutting off abruptly. Alex didn't look back. He couldn't afford to. The finish line was within reach now, and nothing would stop him. The swarm dissolved into the background as he focused on the glowing archway ahead. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat urging him forward. The pod vibrated beneath his hands, straining against the strain of maximum acceleration. Finally, with a triumphant burst of speed, Alex crossed the finish line. The moment his pod passed through the archway, the world around him seemed to freeze. The chaos of the death track faded into silence, replaced by an eerie stillness. For a few seconds, Alex sat motionless, unable to believe what had just happened. Had he really done it? Had he actually won? Then the Zetherians appeared, their towering forms materializing beside his pod. Zix-7 stepped forward, its glowing eyes fixed on Alex. "Impressive," it said, its voice resonating like a low hum. "No species has ever completed the death track race in such a manner. Your adaptability, creativity, and resilience are unmatched." Alex blinked, trying to process the alien's words. Does this mean I won?" he asked hesitantly. Zix-7's mandibles clicked softly, what might have been a gesture of approval. "Indeed. You have proven your worth, not just as an individual, but as a representative of your species." Humanity will be remembered for this day. Relief washed over Alex, followed by a surge of pride. He had done it. Against all odds, he had conquered the deadliest race in the galaxy. And he hadn't done it alone. As he climbed out of his pod, his thoughts turned to Mia, who had worked tirelessly to give him a fighting chance. Without her ingenuity and support, none of this would have been possible. Moments later, Mia arrived, having followed Alex's progress from the Windrunner. She ran to him, throwing her arms around him in a tight hug. "You did it!" she exclaimed, tears streaming down her face. "I knew you could," Alex laughed, the sound echoing in the vast arena. "We did it," he corrected her. "This was never just me. It was us, all of us." The other surviving competitors gathered nearby, their expressions ranging from awe to disbelief. Some clapped respectfully, acknowledging Alex's achievement. Others muttered quietly, clearly unsettled by the idea that a human, someone from such a primitive species, had bested them all. Back on Earth, news of Alex's victory spread like wildfire. Governments scrambled to respond, unsure whether to celebrate or fear the attention humanity was now receiving. Ordinary people, however, erupted in joy. For the first time in history, humans had proven themselves capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But for Alex and Mia, the real reward wasn't fame or recognition. It was the knowledge that they had defied expectations, proving that greatness often comes from unexpected places. As they stood together in the shadow of the Zitherians' arena, surrounded by the wonders of the cosmos, they knew their journey was far from over. This was just the beginning of humanity's story among the stars. And so, with hearts full of hope and minds brimming with possibilities, Alex and Mia prepared for whatever came next. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Now they were ready to embrace the unknown, carrying with them the lessons they had learned, that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the refusal to let it control you. And that sometimes the underdog doesn't just survive, they thrive. The aftermath of the race was a whirlwind of activity. The Zitherians, usually stoic and unemotional, seemed unusually interested in Alex and Mia. Zik-7 approached them after the ceremony, its towering insectoid form casting a long shadow over the humans. "Your species has proven itself," it said, its voice resonating like a low hum. "You have qualities we have not seen before, qualities that intrigue us." Alex glanced at Mia, unsure how to respond. They had never imagined their victory would lead to anything beyond personal satisfaction. But now, standing face to face with the enigmatic Zitherians, they realized their win carried far greater implications. "What happens now?" Alex asked. Cautiously, ZYX-7 tilted its head slightly, a gesture that might have been curiosity. "We offer you knowledge," it replied. "Access to technologies and resources your kind has yet to discover. You will become ambassadors for your species, representing humanity among the stars." Mia's eyes widened. The idea of gaining advanced knowledge thrilled her, but she couldn't ignore the weight of responsibility. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Why help us?" The Zitherian's glowing eyes flickered faintly. "Survival is a test," it said, "and those who pass deserve opportunities to grow. Your performance today showed us that humanity is capable of more than we anticipated." As the Zitherians led Alex and Mia to a massive structure nearby, a shimmering tower made of an unknown material, they couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Inside, holographic displays floated in midair, showcasing technologies that defied comprehension. There were schematics for faster-than-light travel, energy sources that could power entire cities without pollution, and medical advancements that could cure diseases thought incurable. It was as if the Zitherians were offering humanity a shortcut to a brighter future. But alongside the excitement came questions. Why were the Zitherians sharing all this? What did they want in return? Alex voiced his concerns aloud. "This feels too good to be true," he admitted. "Are you expecting something from us?" Zik-7 paused, its mandibles clicking softly. "No strings," it assured him. "Consider this an investment. We have watched your species struggle, fight, and rebuild countless times. Now we see potential. Perhaps with our guidance, you can avoid the mistakes others have made." Despite the reassurance, Alex and Mia remained cautious. They knew history well enough to understand that gifts often came with hidden costs. Still, the opportunity was too significant to pass up. For the next several days, they immersed themselves in learning, absorbing as much information as they could. Mia focused on engineering and technology, while Alex studied navigation and piloting techniques. Together, they worked tirelessly, determined to make the most of the chance they'd been given. Back on Earth, news of the Death Track race spread like wildfire. Governments convened emergency meetings, trying to decide how to handle humanity's newfound status. Some leaders saw Alex and Mia's victory as a triumph, proof that humanity could stand toe-to-toe with alien civilizations. Others viewed it as a threat, fearing that attention from powerful species might bring danger rather than prosperity. Ordinary people, however, celebrated unreservedly. Cities erupted in parades and festivals, with images of Alex and Mia plastered on every screen. Social media buzzed with hashtags like #HumanityWins and #StarsAreOurs. For the first time in history, humanity felt united not by borders or politics, but by pride in what two individuals had achieved. Amid the global excitement, Alex and Mia received messages from friends, family, and strangers alike. Many praised their bravery and ingenuity, while others begged them to share details about their journey. The pressure mounted, but they handled it with quiet grace. When reporters finally reached them via satellite link, Alex spoke simply and honestly. "We didn't do this for fame or glory," he said. "We did it because we wanted to show the galaxy that humanity isn't just another species struggling to survive. We're dreamers, builders, fighters, and survivors." His words resonated deeply, inspiring millions. People began looking to the stars with renewed hope, imagining a future where humanity played a role in interstellar affairs. Scientists and engineers poured new energy into space exploration projects, eager to match the advancements offered by the Zetherians. Even skeptics found themselves intrigued, wondering what lay beyond Earth's atmosphere. As weeks turned into months, Alex and Mia prepared to return home. The Zetherians provided them with a sleek new ship, equipped with cutting-edge technology, far beyond anything humanity possessed. They called it the Horizon, symbolizing the limitless possibilities ahead. Before departing, Zik-7 gave them one final piece of advice. "Remember," it said, "knowledge is a tool. Use it wisely." With that, Alex and Mia boarded the Horizon and set course for Earth. The journey back took less time than expected, thanks to the ship's advanced engines. As they approached the planet, they were struck by its beauty, the blue oceans, green continents, and swirling white clouds. Despite all they had seen in the galaxy, there was no place quite like home. Their arrival caused a sensation. Thousands gathered at the landing site, cheering wildly as the Horizon touched down. Cameras flashed, capturing every moment. Government officials greeted them with formal speeches, thanking them for their service to humanity. But Alex and Mia cared little for the pomp and circumstance. Their priority was sharing what they had learned. Over the following weeks, they traveled the world, meeting with scientists, engineers, and policymakers. They presented detailed reports on the technologies they had encountered, emphasizing the importance of using such knowledge responsibly. Mia organized workshops to teach advanced engineering concepts, while Alex demonstrated new piloting techniques to aspiring astronauts. Their efforts sparked a wave of innovation, leading to breakthroughs in renewable energy, medicine, and space travel. Yet not everyone welcomed the changes. Critics argued that humanity wasn't ready for such rapid advancement, warning of potential misuse or unintended consequences. Conspiracy theories flourished, claiming the Zetherians had ulterior motives. Some even accused Alex and Mia of collaborating with aliens to gain power. Though frustrating, these accusations only strengthened their resolve. They knew progress wouldn't come without challenges, but they refused to let fear dictate humanity's future. Through it all, Alex and Mia remained grounded. They visited their hometown often, finding comfort in familiar faces and places. Friends and neighbors treated them like heroes, but they insisted they were just ordinary people who had done extraordinary things. "We didn't win the race alone," Alex reminded everyone during a community gathering. "Mia and I may have flown the pod, but we couldn't have done it without the lessons we learned growing up here, with all of you." His humility earned him even more admiration. People admired not just his achievements, but his character. He and Mia became symbols of hope, proving that greatness often comes from unexpected places. Their story inspired countless others to chase their dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed. As humanity embraced its role in the cosmos, Alex and Mia looked toward the horizon, not just the physical one, but the metaphorical one. They knew their journey was far from over. Somewhere out there, among the stars, lay untold mysteries waiting to be uncovered. And they were ready to face whatever came next, armed with courage, determination, and the unwavering belief that humanity's best days were still ahead. Months had passed since Alex and Mia returned to Earth, but the world still hadn't fully adjusted to their newfound status. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and that realization brought both excitement and unease. Governments scrambled to create policies for interstellar relations, while scientists worked tirelessly to integrate the advanced knowledge shared by the Zetherians. The changes were happening too fast for some people to keep up. Yet through it all, Alex and Mia remained at the center of it, guiding humanity toward a brighter future. Their days were filled with meetings, interviews, and demonstrations. They traveled constantly, spreading awareness about the importance of using alien technology responsibly. Mia spent hours in labs, teaching engineers how to build sustainable energy systems based on Zetherian designs. Alex, meanwhile, trained pilots to handle advanced spacecraft, emphasizing the need for precision and adaptability. Together, they became ambassadors not just for humanity, but for the idea that progress should benefit everyone, not just a select few. Despite their busy schedules, Alex and Mia made time to reflect on everything they'd experienced. Late at night, when the crowds had dispersed and the cameras were off, they would sit together under the stars, staring at the vast expanse above. "Do you ever wonder what's out there?" Mia asked one evening, her voice soft. "Beyond what we've seen so far?" Alex nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "All the time," he admitted. "The galaxy is huge. There's so much we don't know and maybe never will." Mia smiled faintly. "But isn't that exciting? Every day feels like a new adventure." Alex chuckled. "Yeah, I guess it does. Still, sometimes I miss the simplicity of fixing hovercrafts." "Back home," Mia nudged him playfully, "you'll always have that. Just because we're doing big things doesn't mean we can't enjoy the little ones too." Her words reminded Alex of why they had succeeded in the first place. It wasn't just about being brave or smart. It was about staying true to themselves, even when the stakes were impossibly high. That mindset continued to guide them as they navigated the challenges of their new roles. One challenge came sooner than expected. News reached Earth of a distant planet called Viro 7, rumored to hold ancient ruins left behind by a long-extinct civilization. According to reports from passing traders, the ruins contained artifacts that could unlock secrets about the origins of life itself. The discovery sparked intense interest among scientists and governments alike, each eager to claim the findings for themselves. but reaching Viro 7 wouldn't be easy. The journey required navigating treacherous asteroid fields and unpredictable gravitational anomalies, conditions eerily similar to those of the Death Track race. When the United Earth Council approached Alex and Mia with a proposal to lead an expedition to Viro 7, they hesitated. The mission was risky, and neither of them wanted to abandon their work on Earth. But deep down, they knew this was an opportunity they couldn't pass up. If humanity truly wanted to establish itself among the stars, it needed leaders willing to take bold steps. After some discussion, they agreed to go, but on one condition. The mission would prioritize exploration over exploitation. That preparations for the journey began immediately. Using the knowledge gained from the Zetherians, engineers designed a state-of-the-art vessel called the Star Seeker. Unlike the Horizon, which focused on speed and efficiency, the Star Seeker was built for endurance and versatility. Its reinforced hull could withstand extreme conditions, while its modular design allowed for quick repairs and upgrades. Inside, the ship featured advanced navigation systems, medical facilities, and living quarters spacious enough to accommodate a small crew. Alex and Mia handpicked their team carefully, choosing individuals who shared their values of curiosity, cooperation, and respect for the unknown. Among them were Dr. Elena Cruz, an astrophysicist known for her groundbreaking research on stellar phenomena, Commander Ryan Hayes, a seasoned astronaut with years of experience in deep space missions, and Tariq Malik, a linguist specializing in deciphering alien languages. Together, they formed a diverse group united by a common goal: to uncover the mysteries of Viro 7 without causing harm. As launch day approached, excitement mixed with anxiety. Thousands gathered to watch the Starseeker lift off, its sleek frame gleaming under the morning sun. When the engines roared to life, cheers erupted from the crowd. For many, this moment symbolized humanity's next step into the cosmos, a leap forward fueled by hope rather than fear. The journey to Viro 7 took several weeks, during which the crew grew closer through shared experiences. Meals became opportunities for storytelling, as each member shared tales of their lives before joining the mission. Dr. Cruz spoke fondly of her childhood fascination with the night sky, while Commander Hayes recounted harrowing adventures from his time in space. Even Tariq, usually quiet and reserved, opened up about his passion for understanding cultures different from his own. Through it all, Alex and Mia led by example, fostering an atmosphere of trust and collaboration. They encouraged open dialogue, ensuring everyone felt valued and heard. This approach paid off when the ship encountered its first major obstacle, a dense asteroid field blocking their path. Navigating it required input from multiple team members, combining scientific calculations with real-time decision-making. Under Alex's guidance, the crew worked seamlessly, steering the Starseeker through the chaos without incident. Finally, after weeks of travel, Viro 7 came into view. From afar, the planet looked desolate, its surface scarred by eons of erosion. Up close, however, the landscape revealed intricate patterns carved into the rock patterns that hinted at intelligent design. As the ship descended, the crew marveled at towering structures rising from the ground, their shapes resembling spires and arches. Though crumbling and overgrown with alien vegetation, the ruins exuded an aura of grandeur and mystery. Once landed, the team set out to explore. Armed with scanning devices and recording equipment, they documented every detail, from the smallest engravings to the largest monuments. Tariq examined inscriptions etched into stone walls, attempting to decode their meaning. Meanwhile, Dr. Cruz analyzed soil samples, searching for traces of organic material that might shed light on the planet's former inhabitants. It wasn't long before they discovered something extraordinary, a chamber hidden beneath one of the larger ruins. Inside, glowing crystals pulsed rhythmically, casting shifting patterns of light across the walls. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, atop which rested a metallic object shaped like a sphere. The artifact hummed softly, emitting vibrations that resonated deep within the crew's bones. This is incredible," Dr. Cruz whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "Whatever this is, it's unlike anything we've ever seen." Commander Hayes stepped forward cautiously, his hand hovering near his weapon. "Be careful," he warned. "We don't know what it does." Mia approached the pedestal, her eyes wide with wonder. She extended a hand, hesitating briefly before touching the sphere. Instantly, images flooded her mind, visions of star systems, planets teeming with life and civilizations rising and falling. She gasped, stumbling back as the connection broke. "What happened?" Alex asked, rushing to her side. "It showed me." "Everything," Mia replied, struggling to find words. "The history of this place, the people who lived here, they were explorers like us. They sought answers just like we do." The revelation sent a wave of emotion through the team. They realized they weren't merely discovering relics of the past, they were connecting with a legacy of curiosity and courage that transcended time and space. Inspired by this newfound understanding, they vowed to honor the memory of Viros 7's creators by continuing their quest for knowledge. As they prepared to leave the planet, taking detailed records and samples with them, Alex paused to look back at the ruins one last time. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "There's so much more out there waiting for us." Mia nodded, smiling. "And we'll find it together." With renewed determination, the crew boarded the Starseeker and set course for home. Their journey had only scratched the surface of what the galaxy held, but it had reaffirmed their belief in humanity's potential. No matter the challenges ahead, they knew they could face them as long as they stayed true to themselves and the values that had brought them this far. For Alex and Mia, the stars were no longer distant lights in the sky. They were invitations beckoning humanity to dream bigger, reach farther, and embrace the infinite possibilities of the cosmos. And with each step they took, they carried the hopes of billions, proving that even the smallest voices could echo across the universe. The return journey from Viros 7 was quieter than the trip out. The crew of the Starseeker had seen wonders beyond imagination, but now they carried the weight of responsibility. They knew the discoveries they brought back could change humanity forever if used wisely. As the ship glided through the void of space, Alex and Mia spent hours discussing what lay ahead. How would Earth react to the artifacts? Would their findings unite people or deepen divisions? These questions weighed heavily on their minds. When the Starseeker finally entered Earth's atmosphere, it was met with a hero's welcome. Thousands gathered at the landing site, waving flags and cheering as the sleek vessel touched down. Reporters jostled for position, eager to capture every word from Alex and Mia, but the two remained calm, knowing that their work was far from over. This wasn't just about celebration. It was about ensuring their discoveries benefited everyone. Inside a secure facility, scientists began analyzing the artifacts from Viros 7. The glowing sphere, in particular, fascinated them. Its intricate patterns and pulsating energy suggested it was more than just a relic, it was a key, perhaps unlocking secrets about the universe itself. Tariq worked tirelessly to decipher the inscriptions found alongside the sphere, piecing together fragments of an ancient language. Slowly, a story emerged, a tale of a civilization that had once explored the stars, seeking answers to life's greatest mysteries. Dr. Cruz led efforts to study the environmental data collected from Viros 7. Soil samples revealed traces of microbial life long extinct, offering clues about how planets evolve and sustain ecosystems. Her findings sparked debates among biologists and ecologists, who saw potential applications for addressing Earth's own environmental challenges. Meanwhile, engineers examined the structural designs of the ruins, marveling at their durability despite centuries of neglect. The lessons learned could revolutionize architecture and construction on Earth. But not everyone viewed the discoveries with optimism. Critics argued that humanity wasn't ready for such advanced knowledge, warning of unintended consequences. Some feared the sphere might harbor dangers, perhaps even alien pathogens or technologies humanity couldn't control. Conspiracy theories spread online, claiming the expedition was part of a secret agenda to consolidate power. Despite these concerns, Alex and Mia stood firm in their belief that progress required trust and transparency. To address public fears, they organized a global conference, inviting experts from various fields to discuss the implications of their findings. The event drew millions of viewers who tuned in via live streams and broadcasts. Alex opened the session with a simple yet powerful message. We didn't come this far by being afraid of the unknown. Yes, there are risks, but there are also opportunities. It's up to us to choose which path we take. Mia followed with a presentation showcasing practical applications of the discoveries. She demonstrated how insights from Viro 7 could improve renewable energy systems, enhance medical treatments, and inspire new approaches to sustainability. Her enthusiasm was contagious, igniting hope in those who watched. By the end of the conference, skepticism had given way to cautious optimism. As the world adjusted to the revelations, Alex and Mia turned their attention to the next phase of exploration. The Zetherians had hinted at other races and civilizations scattered across the galaxy, each with its own unique contributions to the tapestry of existence. Humanity's role, they realized, was not to dominate or exploit, but to learn and share. With this in mind, they proposed establishing a coalition dedicated to peaceful interstellar diplomacy. Their vision gained traction quickly. Governments, corporations, and grassroots organizations joined forces to create the Interstellar Unity Initiative, IUI. Its mission was clear: foster cooperation between species, promote ethical use of technology, and protect the rights of all sentient beings. Alex and Mia were appointed as co-leaders, tasked with guiding humanity's interactions with the wider cosmos. The IUI's first major project involved reaching out to nearby star systems. Using modified versions of the Starseeker, teams embarked on diplomatic missions to establish contact with alien races. These encounters were fraught with challenges, misunderstandings, cultural differences, and occasional hostility. But Alex and Mia's experience navigating uncertainty proved invaluable. They emphasized patience, humility, and mutual respect, earning goodwill from many species. One memorable meeting occurred with the Krillians, the same race Alex had encountered during the Death Track race. Initially wary of humans, the Krillians warmed to Alex when he recounted their shared experience. Their leader, a grizzled warrior named Zorik, extended an invitation to visit their homeworld. What started as a tentative alliance blossomed into a partnership focused on trade and technological exchange. Similar breakthroughs followed with other species, proving that cooperation was possible even among vastly different cultures. Back on Earth, the effects of the IUI rippled outward. Education systems adapted to include lessons on interstellar relations, fostering a generation of young minds curious about the universe. Artists and writers drew inspiration from alien worlds, creating works that celebrated diversity and unity. Even everyday conversations shifted, with people asking questions like, "What can we learn from them?" instead of "How can we beat them?" Through it all, Alex and Mia remained grounded. They returned to their hometown often, finding solace in familiar faces and places. Friends and neighbors treated them like family, proud of what they had achieved yet humble enough to remind them of where they came from. During one visit, Alex stood beside Mia under the night sky, pointing out constellations. "Do you think we'll ever run out of things to discover?" he asked. Mia laughed softly. "Not a chance. The universe is too big, and we're too curious." Her words echoed the spirit of their journey. From fixing hovercrafts in a quiet workshop to leading humanity into the stars, Alex and Mia had proven that greatness often comes from unexpected places. They weren't perfect. They made mistakes, faced setbacks, and wrestled with doubts, but they never stopped believing in the power of perseverance and teamwork. Years passed, and their legacy grew. New generations of explorers took to the stars, guided by the principles Alex and Mia had championed. Humanity's presence in the galaxy expanded, marked not by conquest but by collaboration. Alien civilizations began to see Earth not as a primitive backwater, but as a beacon of hope, a planet that had risen above its struggles to embrace a brighter future. Yet Alex and Mia knew their work was never truly done. The universe was vast, filled with mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Each discovery raised new questions. Each encounter opened new possibilities. For them, the thrill wasn't in having all the answers, it was in the endless pursuit of knowledge. On a quiet evening aboard the Horizon, now retired from active duty, Alex and Mia sat side by side, watching the stars streak past the viewport. "Do you ever wonder if we'll find another Viro 7? Mia asked, her voice tinged with nostalgia. Alex smiled. "Maybe, or maybe we'll find something completely different. Either way, I'm ready." Mia nodded, leaning her head against his shoulder. "Me too." Together, they gazed at the infinite expanse before them, hearts full of hope and minds brimming with dreams. The road ahead was uncertain, but that was the beauty of it. Every challenge was an opportunity, every moment a chance to grow. And as long as they stayed true to themselves and to the values that had brought them this far, they knew they could face whatever came next. For Alex and Mia, the stars were no longer distant lights in the sky. They were invitations, beckoning humanity to dream bigger, reach farther, and embrace the infinite possibilities of the cosmos. And with each step they took, they carried the hopes of billions, proving that even the smallest voices could echo across the universe.